welcome to the Smart Publishing Impact Series. I'm Renée Lautermilch, Chief Editor at Smart Publishing, and this is the podcast where we explore all things writing, publishing, and the impact of storytelling. In each episode, I'll share insights and strategies to help you navigate the book journey, whether you're writing, publishing, or already an author. Plus, you'll hear from inspiring authors who are using their book to change lives. And if you're passionate about storytelling and ready to make an impact, be sure to subscribe, rate, and review. Now let's get started. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Smart Publishing Impact Series with myself, Renée Lautermilch, your host and Chief Editor at Smart Publishing. This is episode 46. It is January 28th, 2026, and here in the Dallas area, it is hopefully finally thawing out from being a skating rink. We are just coming off of Snowmageddon 2026 that hit a fair portion of the United States. Fortunately, where we are in Plano, Texas, didn't get too much of the freezing rain. I think we got like 0.10 inches, which wasn't enough to cause any damage. So we maintained power the whole time. But I have quite a few friends and people who I've worked with who have gotten really hit bad where they're at. Some folks who have been without power for days and days and days. And it's like in freezing conditions, it's not even like that's the worst of your troubles, because once the power comes back on, you may have frozen and burst pipes, which cause water damage. Oh man, I really feel for anyone going through any of that out there. Um, for me and for us especially, I think it's this wake up call that these types of events seem to be happening, more often every single year. And, you're either prepared or you're taking a big risk. And we're going to look to install a full home generator and do quite a few other things. And I look at all that stuff as insurance. Fortunately, full home generators add a lot of value to your home and end up paying for themselves in equity. Um, but it also there's a lot of very cheap ways that you can prepare for situations like that. And if you never have to use it, great. If you do, oh, it is going to pay to have been prepared in dividends. That is for sure. So we actually have an author who I am editing his book right now, and he is absolutely excellent on this subject, the subject of off-grid living, sustainability. His name is Scott Bunn, and his book is 71 Solutions. We're going to be relaunching it here this year, and so be on the lookout for Scott Bunn and his book 71 Solutions. He's a brilliant guy. He has a business called Treehouse Trade School, where he teaches these types of skills that you need to be more self-reliant. And he's just an all-around really cool guy. Okay, so anyways, let's get into the episode. Like I said, it's episode 46, and today's title is The Ideal Time to Launch Your Book. We've been doing a lot of book launches. We are on the drive to 45 this year, which for us means that we want to do 45 launches this year. That is akin to about 4 launches every single month. This month was a little bit of a half month for us because we didn't start working until the 12th, so almost the middle of the month, because we had a trip that was scheduled to take place in the first half of the month. So we ended up doing 3 launches this month, and our most recent one was just yesterday, Max Neese, and he hit bestseller. All of them hit bestseller, of course. That is what we do here at Smart Publishing. But, I've been very minded on launch timing, launch strategy. And so I thought that this would be something that's really good to get into, especially seeing a lot of fluctuation in metadata and numbers this January. I think that some lessons have stood out even more for me this year than they have in the past. So let's get into it. First, why does the timing of your book launch even matter? Well, especially if you want to get on, the bestseller rankings, and you want to be in the top 10 or even number 1, like we get all our folks to, you have to have attention on your launch. You have to have people who are paying attention and people who go and buy your book. Also, you didn't write your book, so you would not have an audience, and launch is where you really start to get attention on yourself as an author and on your book and its subject matter. So launch is incredibly important. It's just like if you were to launch a business, your opening day, you would want a lot of attention around that. You'd want a lot of planning and build out up to that. Anything that you start doing that is out there and available to the public, let's create a lot of rallying energy around it. So I'm going to talk in terms of months of the year. What months do you want to maybe stay away from? What months are really good? I'm going to even talk about the day of the week. We've got the day of the week down to a science. There's a day that we definitely favor, a secondary day that can do okay, and then we stay away from all the rest of the days. So I'll go over that with you too. And then I also want to talk about preparing your time. So not just what is the ideal time, but the ideal time is completely useless if your book launch doesn't have your time and attention. Believe it or not, there are authors out there who, when it comes to their launch day, they're too busy to pay attention to their launch. So that's not a position that you want to be in. You want to be there rallying your launch. And then, of course, with that, I want to talk about the amount of time that is ideal to lead up with the promotion of your launch day. So let's get started with month. The month that you launch your book is important because there are a few months where either competition is going to be really, really high, or attention is going to be really, really, really low. So what I have seen this year in January is that the amount of one-day orders that you need on Amazon to hit bestseller in any given category, especially in the first half of the month, goes way, 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 way up. I've always seen this, but like for some reason this year it was even more pronounced. I'm talking pretty low competition categories getting up into the hundreds. And again, that's hundreds of sales per day, and like super obscure categories where it's like people read books in this category. What? So January has always been a very competitive month for releasing books, and that's because new year, new you, new authors want to get out with a strong start the first of the year. And from a marketing perspective, it's also a great time to catch the attention of consumers as well, because you have consumers who are trying to form new habits and do new things, learn new things. And so it's also a really big month for book sales. So you will have more competition if you launch in January overall, but especially in the first half of the month. That first, 2 to even 3 weeks, arguably, a lot of things end up spiking. February starts to calm down, March calms down. Now, I will say February, March, April, May, those are all really great months for launching books. Stay away from holidays though. Don't try to launch your book around a long holiday weekend. That's a no-no. People tend to take extra time off, check out, they're not checking social as much, they're not paying as much attention. And so, no matter what month it is, if there's a major holiday or some kind of 3-day weekend type of thing, keep your launch away from that, especially if it's like, let's just say there's a Monday off and then you're trying to launch the day afterwards. It's going to be really tough. You want to stay away from that. Now, once we get to June, don't touch June. We don't do launches in June at all. School is out and everybody is going on vacation in June. which means everybody's totally checking out mentally. They're not working, they're spending more time with their family, they're more distracted because kids are home, and they're just not looking at social as much. We have done successful launches in June in the past. Um, I do not recommend authors to ever launch in June though. July, once you get past the first, week of the month, gets a little better, but then once you get back into that August, especially later in the month once the kids are back in school, September, October, November, early November, before you get into the holidays territory, then it gets really good again. Um, Once you're in November, just stay away from the week of Thanksgiving. I would also, you might think it's a good idea to release your thing on Black Friday. One, I never encourage Friday releases, and two, you're going to have a massive amount of competition, not just in other books getting released in your category potentially, but just the amount of noise and the amount of things that are saying, buy me, buy me, buy me on Black Friday. The goal is to have a time when attention is high and competition is low. Okay. So don't try to strategize launch for Black Friday. That is a big mistake. Once you get into early December, then that's a pretty good time, especially if you have something that could be a giftable type of book and you want to promote it that way. That's actually an excellent time, is after Thanksgiving and in the weeks before Christmas, when everybody is starting to think, oh, I really need to get on this gift purchasing thing. So really good time there. We have done releases the week after Christmas that have gone well, but I typically don't recommend that because, again, a lot of people are still off of work, the kids are still out of school, so attention is low, distraction is high, so you want to typically stay away from that. Now, that's talking about months. Let's talk about days. So when we look at launches, we always do them on Tuesdays. Tuesday is our sweet spot. If for some reason we need to launch on any other day, let's make it a Wednesday. Not ideal, again, because people kind of hit that midweek slump. But it can do as well. I've not historically seen it do as well. We avoid Monday at all costs. We avoid Monday at all costs for two reasons. One, that's when a lot of the behemoth book retailers, or not book retailers, book publishers release books. A lot of major books are released on Mondays. And so Monday competition spikes really high with those more heavily marketed new releases. And then it comes down Tuesday because now that book launch is over. So another reason to stay away from Monday is, again, you want a time when attention is higher and competition is low, and distraction is low. Monday is a very distracted day. We're getting in, there's all these things we didn't get to do last week. We're trying to catch up with them this week. Everybody else is trying to do the same. So we're getting text messages and DMs and emails and ping, 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 ping. It's a very, very high distraction day. People are very, very busy on Mondays. Okay. By the time we get into Tuesday, not only are major publishers not releasing their books on Tuesday as a practice, but people are a little bit more caught up, and they can take a breath and they can pay more attention. On Wednesday, it kind of depends your audience. If you have an audience that is a little bit more of a Southern audience, or they're more of a Christian audience, Wednesdays can be a little bit tough because you have midweek service. A lot of people do midweek Bible studies, so it can be a high distraction time. You can also see people check out a little bit on Wednesdays too, because as they hit that midweek slump and just are like, I don't want to do anything else. By the time we get into Thursday, people already start checking out a bit. By the time we get into Friday, people's attention is racing to get everything done that they can for that week before the weekend hits. And they are also just mentally checked out and done. Weekend, never, ever launch on a Saturday or a Sunday. People are checked out, checked out, checked out. Many people are not checking social. If they're checking it, they're maybe just checking it a couple times a day. They're with their families. They're doing novel and new and fun things. they're not sitting around on social to see your book promotion and to buy your book or reading their DMs very frequently. Okay, now, no matter what day or month you launch, take the day off of work and dedicate it to your book launch. You are going to want to do this because I don't care how much automation you have set up around your launch. I don't care how many people have already committed to buy your book. We see this over and over and over and over again. I can tell you, I've had top-notch marketers who I have coached who are like really, really great at automations, automated texting, automated emails, great open rates, great click rates. They relied on that for their launch and they failed. They didn't hit bestseller in any category. So, first, do not rely on automations. Automations are great. They will work to help reel in stuff, but what really works at the end of the day is you personally reaching out to people and following up with them. Because even if people signed up to be notified that it's out, even if you contacted somebody that morning and they said, I got the book, what we see time and time again is no, they didn't. Maybe they did. Probably about 50% of those people who say that they got the book or they're going to get your book will get it without you bugging them again. But what we see really happen a lot of time is people think, oh, I'm in the middle of something. I'm too busy to do that right now. I'll do it after I get home and after the kids are in bed. Then they completely forget to do it. They're not setting a reminder on their phone. Remember, it's your launch. It's extremely important to you. It's not extremely important to everybody who you're asking to buy your book. So you have to make sure that you're following up. The most important follow up is a post dinner time follow up. People are done with work. The kids are either just like hanging out, in front of the TV, playing video games, winding down for the night, whatever. Or maybe, if they're younger kids, they're already in bed. Oh, yeah, I totally forgot to do that. I'm going to snag a copy right now because now in my mind, I have the time that I think, I mean, it takes like 5 seconds, right? It doesn't take that long. But people tell themselves just this psychological block that, oh, it's going to take all this time and it's going to disrupt me from what I'm doing. So, you want to make sure that you are dedicating your time to being logged into your KDP dashboard so you can refresh and see how many sales or orders, I will say, you have throughout the day because it's orders that hit bestseller, not sales that hit bestseller. If you want to know about that, go back in a different episode. You can find the Amazon bestseller playbook that I put out in a previous episode. So you want to be able to have those personal reach outs with people. Again, time and time again, we have seen what it takes to hit bestseller, and we have seen these common human behaviors show up in every single launch, and we've seen these common pitfalls in every single launch. So, take it from us. We've done it tons of times. Um, it's just if you want to have the best launch, that's what you have to do. And then the amount of lead up time to your launch, we suggest 60 days. That 60 days consists of starting to create your VIP list, which, may be people who you send an advanced release copy to, who, also promise to help you talk about it, help you promote it, and of course, buy the Kindle copy on your release day to help you hit bestseller. Those are also, people who are supporters and they have committed to get a copy when it comes out. You want, the amount of those that you need to hit bestseller in the categories that you're in, which again, that's a whole different thing. You got to go back to my Amazon bestseller playbook episode to hear more about that. But 60 days is a good amount of time to make that list, and then to also start promoting regularly. You want about 10 to 20% of the posts that you make to be about that, so that it's not like everything you post all of a sudden is about your book and people get so sick of hearing it that they just habituate you out or they tune you out, or at worst they like stop following you or snooze following you for a while because all you do is talk about the same thing over and over again. So make sure that you have a mixture of, posts that help pull people in, that are, personal posts, motivational posts, inspirational posts, whatever, posts that aren't necessarily directly about your book mixed in with those directly about your book, so that, you're keeping people engaged without harassing them per se. So that's a good amount of time to get it on people's radar without just completely overdoing it. Something else that I recommend too is it's never too early to start talking about writing your book. So I don't think enough authors talk on a regular basis about how they're in the process of writing a book. So it's never too early to start talking about it. Just because we recommend a 60-day launch plan doesn't mean that you can't journal, on social media, the process of writing your book. Again, just make sure that it doesn't become the only thing that you're talking about, or people will just tune you out, or they'll go content blind to what you're posting. At bare minimum, I would say 30 days, but 60 days is a really safe spot. And again, it's what we advise all of our authors to do. And we have never released a book that did not hit bestseller. Never happened, will never happen. We understand how to do it intimately, and we've got the process down to a science. So that is everything that I have for today for episode 46. Um, like I always say, I always invite you to, add me on Facebook. I think I said my last episode that I'm mostly on Amazon. I am mostly on Amazon, but what I meant was I'm mostly on Facebook. I have this mom brain thing where things come out of my mouth, and in my brain something completely different came out of my mouth, but my mouth just, it went rogue and did its own thing. So if you ever hear me say something that doesn't make a lot of sense in an episode, that's why. I apologize. So, I am primarily on Facebook. And if you search Renee Lautermilch, Lautermilch, I'm the only one in the world. I'm the only one who will come up. So add me on there, shoot me a DM, any questions that you have. I love answering questions. I'm here to educate. It's something that I'm very passionate about. You can also find me at Renee at smartpublishingservices.com, or at the website, smartpublishingservices.com, where we have plenty of resources to help you in your writing journey. And so that's all I have for this week. If you are anywhere in the United States that got caught up in this crazy storm, then I hope that you are staying warm and staying safe. And let's all learn from this, that no one has ever been sorry by being prepared for things. Again, my number one learning from this. We were also here in 2021 for the completely unprecedented storm that was responsible for the unfortunate deaths of over 200 people. And so I didn't learn the lesson then, because we happened to be on the same power grid as the fire station, and so our power, we were lucky enough that our power never went on out. But again, we were lucky enough. Don't rely on luck. Rely on wisdom and the planning that can come from that. I hope you're safe. I hope you're warm, and I hope the same for your family as well. Praying for all of those who have been negatively impacted. As I always say, keep writing your story, because the world needs your voice.